Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of RichardMetalFan Interviews. This is episode number 92, and today's guest we're talking with Baptiste Vigier. Baptiste is the guitarist for the band Betraying the Martyrs, a deathcore metalcore band from Paris, France. Today we're going to be talking to him about what got him into metal and pretty much what made him want to play guitar, as well as like the history of Betraying the Martyrs. So without further ado, let's go talk to Baptiste. So what's up,
Boom.
guys? I am here with Baptiste from Betraying the Martyrs. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sorry you had to wake up so early for me because obviously I live in France and
Yeah, and I live here in the US.
it's like 4 a.m. for you or something. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like 4:30 right now.
What's you
Now, and I have
go?
to get ready for work in a little bit. But hey,
Oh
hey,
my God,
I,
you're
it's
an
the
early
things that
bird.
hey, that's what I gotta do. I'm a working man.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, and thanks obviously for the interest you're showing to my band. So
Oh yeah.
awesome.
So basically, this format is I want to do a rundown of your catalog as well as your journey as a musician from where you starts now. But I'm always curious before we go into that, what were like the first bands that got you into metal? What made you want to start playing guitar?
So the first band that got me into metal first before playing anything was obviously softer stuff like Linkin Park and Korn and bands like that. When I was young, new metal was like very hyped and that's what people were listening to. So my first gig ever was I think Linkin Park and then followed by Korn and Slipknot and bands like that. So yeah, it was like big venues at that time in Paris,
Yeah,
maybe like 15,000. So it was like really
yeah.
impressive.
Hybrid Theory
And
was my shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, same, man. So yeah, we started with like softer stuff, Rammstein and bands like that. And that got me into heavier bands later on. I then switched to death metal. I was listening to like Vital Remains and band like that. And then somehow I got into metalcore, maybe in 2008 or 9 or something like that, with bands like Killswitch Engage. I think I saw them on MTV2 or something. It was on TV at the time, crazy. And then As I Lay Dying and bands like that. So
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Were you in any bands before starting up Betraying the Martyrs, or was Betraying the Martyrs like your first band?
Yeah, I was actually in a band with Lucas that was in BTM for quite some years. We went to high school together, and when we were 14, 15, that's when we started listening to those bands. We were like super into it, like buying all the magazines talking about metal because obviously no one around us was talking about it or sharing this kind of music. And that pretty quickly got us into wanting to play this genre of music ourselves. So yeah, we got into that. We bought our first instrument, and with my first band, it was called Black Curtains at that time. We the first practice we did was the first time we held our instruments within our hands. So it was pretty shit, obviously. But yeah, we were covering bands that we enjoyed, and that's how we got started, pretty
Yeah.
young.
And how'd you get to know the guys in Betraying the Martyrs and form the band? Because I believe y'all formed in 2008.
Yes, exactly. A few years later, so it was Eddie and Victor. Victor was still in the band, the keyboard guy. He contacted me via MySpace, which is an old site that most of you guys probably don't even remember. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was the only
Only the
site.
OGs.
Yeah, exactly. It was the only site talking about music and allowing us to share common interests and stuff like that. So I think it was Eddie just sent me a message there, and he was like, "Hey, I'm creating a new band. Would you like to try?" And I think we did a cover of the Black Dahlia Murder, and we all jammed together in Paris, and that's how everything got started, pretty much for BTM. So yeah, as you say, it was 2008.
Yeah. Then 2009, you released your debut EP, Hurt the Divine, the Light.
Yep.
Tell me about like that making the first EP.
Yeah, so first EP was a bit special for us because the entire EP was written jammed in a practice room. You know, we didn't use much computers back then and everything, so we were jamming all together. So all the songs were written live, pretty much, and it was our first maybe like studio experiences. If I remember correctly, we didn't have the means to record full real drums, but we only recorded real cymbals because it sounded so much better. So yeah, but yeah, it was only a 5 tracks EP, and that allowed us to play almost 150 shows out of this EP. So that was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
started touring Europe. Our first European tour was actually went through England, and we were touring with a band called For Untold Reasons, very small local British band, but that's where Aaron was singing for. And we became friends, and that's how we met him, and then finally asked him to join the band in 2010 or 11, and yeah, he accepted to leave his band and come live in Paris with us to focus on BTM.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it was around the time you also got signed to Sumerian Records. How did they find Betraying the Martyrs?
That is true. Actually, Sumerian didn't find us. We found them. We were the one who messaged them. Uh, we just went to their website, I believe it was at the time. We sent an email, like not knowing what to expect, and they enjoyed what we had to offer, so they decided to sign us for the following 10 years or something like that. Crazy. That
Yeah,
obviously opened a lot of doors for us because as we were a small French band, it allowed us to play in the States quite often. I don't know if you got the chance to see us a few
yeah. I've only
times.
seen you guys once, which we'll get there in a sec.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a crazy news for us, and very awesome
All
for
right,
sure.
and tell me about like the making of the debut album, Breathe in Life, which I think is a great debut album, very underrated in my opinion. I know last year was the 10-year anniversary of that, so it was kind of like the
True.
mind frame going into making the first album.
Yeah, so obviously we changed a bit the way of writing things because the first EP was live jammed, but for this record we took more time to focus on the writing, and that's when we also got into music production and started working with computers and stuff. So we wrote most of it at home actually, and I think we recorded most tracks at home also. But we decided to send the mix to an American studio. Actually, I think it was called Sonic Assault Studio in Florida, that were mixing super heavy bands that we were into, like King Conquer and bands like that. And yeah, that's why it has this like super special production that people really loved about this album, like super heavy, super bassy. And I think still to this day, the production sounds really amazing.
Yeah, and still think it's great. I think you also bring in like different elements. You have like metalcore elements, deathcore, even
Sure.
symphonic elements, even hints of like black metal a bit. So I'm guessing like every member kind of like brings like their own style to this album.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we've been trying to do for all these years. Is we're not like some kind of band where one people is writing everything. We are a band, a group of 6 people, and we are trying to make everyone participate in a way. And we have so many different influences, and I think you can definitely hear that in Breathing Life because, as you said, some people were into black metal, some people are more into deathcore, metalcore, and it's like a big blend of everything that we loved at that time. And yeah, I think you got it perfectly.
Right. And then the second album, Phantom, usually with the debut album, you have your entire life to write your album. And then with the first album's release, that there's a lot of hype. Did you felt like pressure to follow low up Breathe in Life when you going into Phantom?
Definitely, because we didn't expect Birth in Life to work so well, actually, and so we kind of felt the pressure of writing something as good as the first one. Obviously, like I think it's the same for any artist. But yeah, what was tricky about Phantom is that we were so much on the road. Like for the Breathing Life album cycle, we toured so much. I think in 2012 we did 250 shows in 1 year, or something crazy like that. So
Shit.
we were not at home a lot, yeah, and but we still had to write, you know. So we were like writing where we could, like in the green rooms, in the venues, in the tour buses, and in the vans mostly at that time. And yeah, we felt the pressure to write something good, but at the same time we didn't have much time, so it was a bit stressful. But we managed to do it. Uh, for this one, we had Mark, another amazing drummer, with us. So we recorded in a different city, in my city where I live right now, actually in Rouen. We tracked the drums. The vocals were done in Los Angeles, actually, because Sumerian wanted to be a bit involved in the writing process and see how the vocals would come out. So they invited us to stay a few days in LA, and we tracked vocals there. So that was also stressful because it was the first time we were in a big studio, you know, where it's expensive and you don't have, you can't lose any time. You have to focus and get the tracks right away.
Yeah. I know on this album we covered the song "Let It Go" from the Disney movie Frozen. How did the idea
Yeah.
of covering that song come to be?
So I think it was our manager at that time, who was also working at Sumerian, was Nick Walters and Sean Keith, who were just offering the idea. I think they saw like some kind of show on American TV, and they were like, "Oh, this song is like popping up. It would be amazing if someone could maybe do a metal version." And we were like, "Okay, no problem, we can try." And it's been like almost popular song since then. So it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another one of my favorite songs is "When Legend" and "When the Legends Never Die." Tell me about like that song. What's that about?
Yeah, this song is super special because actually when we first wrote it, we asked our friend Mitch Lucker from Suicide Silence if he
Yeah.
wanted to be on the album, because we toured with them during the All Stars tour in the US and we became friends with all of them. And so Aaron shot him a message like, "Hey, do you want to be on this song? We would love to have you." And actually, he answered us, "Yes, I would gladly do it." And the next day, I believe it was, or 2 days after, he had his lethal accident,
Yeah.
and that was insane. So we decided to dedicate this song to him because we wrote it pretty much for him. And
Yeah.
and
Rest
this
in
one
peace.
is, yeah, exactly. And this one is about him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still think it's a really powerful song even to this day.
Yeah, true. When, especially when you know the full meaning behind it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. And then the next album is the Resilient. What was that like going from the Phantom to the Resilient?
It was amazing because this time we had way more time on our hands, and we decided to go to the UK to record everything. So we rented like a house in the countryside, and we stayed in the studio for like three weeks, and we really took the time to focus on the sound. I remember I brought like maybe, I think, 10 to 12 different guitar heads, and we tried every single one of them to see like which one would fit the best for the band and everything. We tried so many pedals, so many guitar picks, because even a freaking guitar pick is changing the sound when you play guitar, and in the studio you can really hear the difference. So yeah, it was a great experience as someone into sound and as a musician to focus that much time on that. And I think the results was pretty amazing. And for the record, we usually, when we track an album, we send the mixes to different mixers, and then we blind test, we cut the names out, and then we pick what sounds the best without knowing who mixed it. And our manager sent us an email with like, "Hey guys, I have one last mixer. If you could please listen to this mix, I think it's really good." So we checked it out, and we were blown away by it. And at the end, we discovered that it was mixed by our very own guitarist, Lucas, who obviously knew what to expect and what to propose to us sound wise, and he was so involved, of course, in the writing process that yeah, he nailed it pretty much, and he got the final mix himself. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And that
that's
was,
cool.
and I remember actually finally get to see you guys for the first time on that album cycle. You did the
Oh,
Summer
really?
Slaughter with Black Dahlia Murder, Dying Fetus,
Nice.
and shit. That was like
Yeah.
the only, and so far that's like the only time I've seen you guys. I remember that was a good show, even though it was you only played like 4 songs.
Yeah, it's tricky for those tours because it's like typically American tours where there's like 10 bands or 12 bands on the bill. You know, it starts at midday, it ends at midnight. It's like so packed with people, obviously, but also bands. And obviously, you're forced to share your stage time with everyone. So we could only play like 25 to 30 minutes, I believe it was, but it's always a good experience, and you're able to offer your music to people that were not maybe expecting you to. So it was cool. Good experience for sure.
Yeah, and I remember seeing you all at the Atlanta show at that time. And I remember in between bands, I think Aaron I think somehow saw me. I was like chilling outside, and he actually came up to me because I think he recognized me because I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Okay, yeah,
But then I think
probably.
because I think he said he liked my posts about metal and stuff. I thought that was
Okay.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Cool.
Well, when we tour, we try to meet as much people as we can, and it's obviously really nice to be able to do that. And I think COVID times even emphasized that fact. So you know, like we've been missing touring so much that every opportunity we got and every chance we have to meet people into the same kind of music as us is amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, and then of course the Rapture for the next album. Tell me about like maybe going into that album.
Yeah, Rapture was interesting also. We wanted to have something a tiny bit more laid back, more efficient. That's maybe when we realized that playing too technical stuff doesn't sometimes showcase nicely live, and we wanted something like very punchy and cool for concerts, you know, because we play so many of them. So for this record, we decided to go to a friend of us in Czech Republic. So it's like maybe a 10 hours drive. And we went to his studio. It's called Babylon Studio, because this guy is Tomasz, the guitarist of Modern Day Babylon. It's like a techie band. I don't know if you know them. But he offered us to track there, and there's like a huge room for drums, and it sounds like super massive. So we were very happy with the how it sounded actually. So yeah, it was a fun experience for sure. Apparently,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
love traveling to record records. So yeah,
yeah. And it was also the last album with Aaron. Did you kind of know that he
yeah.
wanted to like leave the band right after the album, or was that just over time?
No, not really. Actually, when he discussed that, it was when we toured for that album cycle. We had I don't know if you followed, but we had a big trouble incident in the US. We were touring, and we just played a show in Los Angeles. And when we were driving at like 2 or 3 a.m., our trailer caught on fire.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and the driver woke us up like screaming, like there's smokes, like everyone get out. So we got out, and obviously everything started to catch on fire, and the firemen came, and they did what they had to do, but we lost like everything we had. You know, it was the first time in 14 US tours that we finally had like a full American backline, that we could live in the States to be able to travel more easily, and everything like got into flames, and we lost everything. But obviously thanks to the amazing support of everyone who shared the news and participated to our crowdfunding, we got most of it back. But it was like such a tough blow, you know. It was the first time in my entire life where I took the plane back home while we still had like 2 or 3 weeks of touring to do, but we canceled everything, and I went home with no suitcase. Like the clothes I was wearing were the only thing I had left, you know. Like was crazy. So I
Yeah.
think I think mentally and physically, this was maybe something too much for Aaron. And at that time, he told us, I think I want to stop making music, and this is too stressful for me. And we are like, oh, yeah, we totally understand, but this is our passion, and we want to continue writing stuff and playing gigs and stuff. And so he took a bit of time, and then I think he realized that this was also something that he wanted to do, but he wanted to do a more heavy kind of focused on growls and screaming music. So he created the band that you guys maybe know, a 1056. Amazing band. We are all very good friends, and they play like super intense shit. So you should check it out if you have the time. But yeah.
Yeah, but then you got a new singer, Rui Martins. How did he end up joining the band?
Yeah, we got Rui involved. So obviously, at first we didn't know how to react. You know, when you lose your frontman and you've been touring with him and you've been friends for like 10 years, it's like a tough blow. But then we realized that some huge bands did it, you know, like Chelsea Green for the US or even North Lane in Australia. They changed their frontman, which was the face of the band, and they managed to make it successfully. So it was really tricky, but also exciting and interesting. So we wrote a big list of like potential vocalists that could join the band, and we went from there. You know, I spent hours on YouTube like trying to find someone, and I was typing like covers. I think it was BTM covers or Architects covers, and I found this little Portuguese guy who actually I saw on his YouTube videos that he had a BTM poster in his room. It was actually the Phantom artwork cover. So I was like, okay, maybe we have a chance with this guy. He seems to like the band, and he's like an amazing vocalist. He can do everything, anything he wants, like from super deep like death metal growls to like perfectly pitched clean singing. So it was like, dude, we need this guy on board. And I sent him a message, and he was like, sure, I'll try. And he really killed it. So far it's been like a year or two together, and it's been an amazing journey, you know. It's like a new experience, like really refreshing to work with something new that doesn't work the same way, that can do so much more. So it's like easier for us to expand even more musically. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then of course you have the new EP out, Silver Lining. Is
Yeah.
that like something to like hold fans over while we wait for the next speak between the Martyrs full length?
We don't know yet. Actually, this is still in discussion within the bands. We don't know, because the thing is, when you put so much effort into a record, it takes like 2 to 3 to 4 years to write, to produce, to mix, to master, and everything. And when you drop it, your fan base has to wait from those years for a new full length. So I kind of like the way that most bands are doing nowadays, which is releasing more EPs, a bit spread out, maybe like one every year or one every 2 years, and like that you can have more music all the time. At the end, it's the same amount, a number of songs, but you have them more often, so it keeps your band's name in people's heads, and it's allowing you to release stuff like directly instead of waiting for your material for like 3 years, you know, and then releasing it. Sometimes it's too much of a gap, and you don't want that. So yeah, so we're still discussing options. What do you personally prefer, like EPs, or you don't care? You like full length? I don't know. It depends on people.
Yeah. And kind of like in the end, kind of like wrapping everything up. What's next for Betraying the Martyrs? What do you have lined up for 2023?
So right now, as we speak, 2 days ago, I was in the studio. We are tracking some new stuff. So far it's not a full length, because we decided to track songs by songs, and we have great ideas, and we already have amazing songs that I can't wait to release. But right now we are in the middle of the writing process. So there's definitely stuff to expect in 2023. Next year we're gonna drop some stuff, and we have some pretty interesting tours to announce pretty soon, but I can't really talk about them just yet.
Yeah, you'll tell me
But
when I turn off the recorder.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, we're stoked for next year, and obviously it took a few years for COVID to finally lay low, and it's still tricky for smaller metal bands to tour, to find some decent venues and good tours, because even huge artists are struggling right now and people are canceling, and so yeah, it's been a stressful ride, but I think 2023 is going to be a good, very good year for touring. I'm looking
Oh,
forward to it.
yeah, awesome. So before we go, just want to thank you for this interview. Any final
Dude,
words you want to say?
I want to say thank you once again for showing interest in BTM's story and for waking up so damn early for me. So,
Hey, it was
so
well
yeah,
worth it.
I just want to thank everybody listening to this and maybe streaming it on YouTube or anywhere. So, thank you guys.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
everybody, Baptiste from Betraying the Martyrs. See you next time. Awesome. So thank you. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks once again.